All right, cool. That's fine. All right, yeah. So, peace is bitbudha back again with another episode of the Blacks in Cybersecurity podcast. And today we have Nigel Boston, who is a cybersecurity threat intelligence analyst, right? So, we just wanted to get him on so he could share a bit more about his experience because he's been in the industry for a while. So, I'm sure that he'll have a wealth of information. But yeah, you could give a quick intro to everyone as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like you stated, my name is Nigel. I work in cyber threat intelligence. I've been in the field for about 4 years.
Mm.
I come from a help desk background, and transitioned into cyber within about 8 months. And yeah, it's just a little bit about myself.
Sweet. And I definitely want to hear more about the help desk role you had because the other thing
Mhm.
about cyber, I feel like a lot of people are just trying to go straight to cyber, and
Mm,
that's like tremendously hard. I always use the analogy. It's like trying to climb a mountain while it's raining. Pretty much it's like
right.
so rough. But so what did
Yeah.
you learn in that while you were in that help desk role? And like how much has it helped you to get where you are now?
Yeah, I think that starting off, I had a strategy. The me getting into cyber was a strategy from day one. I knew that I needed to figure out a way to get into this field of cybersecurity, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy. So what I did was, I currently came from a, warehouse supervisor background, and I
Mm,
said, basically, there's more for me out there, and I
right.
needed to figure out a way to get into cyber. And I said, maybe I need to take or pivot and be around computers. So I took a pay cut. I got an opportunity to be a contractor for a help desk role at a pretty large company. So that was my strategy. I needed to go into an organization where I could see growth, right?
Mm,
So I never had any intentions of staying in help desk
of course.
long at all, right? So what I did was I got into the role as help desk. I made it known of my plans, right? I wasn't shying away or being secretive. I told my manager like I want to get into the field of cybersecurity. So I laid the baseline and let them know like, hey, I'm gonna come in and be the best help desk analyst that you have, but I don't plan to be pigeonholed and stuck in this role. I'm gonna show you all of the stuff that I'm doing as well from the cybersecurity standpoint. So when the time comes and the opportunity comes, I'm ready, right? So that was how I used help desk to pivot into cybersecurity. During my help desk time, my 9 to 5, I always say your 5 to 9 is way more important than your 9 to 5.
Yeah.
My 9 to 5 was easy. The help desk tickets, you're answering calls, you're doing a lot of the same task, right? Password resets, fixing printers, things like that. It's very good knowledge and also practice because I also say, for example, a SOC analyst is a help desk analyst. The only difference is the SOC analyst is handling security incidents, right? So during that help desk time, I was learning cybersecurity on the side by
Mm,
myself, right? I learned everything that I know now, YouTube University, open source white papers, and home labs, doing stuff, getting my hands dirty, hands on keyboards.
right.
So that was a part in how help desk really helped me pivot from help desk into my current role.
Wow. And that's genius. Like the fact that you had a plan and now you also, when you got the role, you told your managers, hey, this is my plan. Like, and this is what I'm going to do. I feel like it's beautiful on both sides because the first thing I feel like a lot of people don't have a plan. And even if they do have a plan, they're not as public as sharing it. I know some people say, oh, you shouldn't tell people your goals because your goals aren't going to be
Mhm.
reached. I find this like the opposite. Like, I'm like, because I was like the same way. I'm like, right, I'm doing this, but I'm going here. Like, I'm telling you up front even when I'm looking for
Yeah.
jobs, I'm like, I'm going to do this, but I want to have my own business too. So it's like, like it's cool. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to do this now, but in the future, just send that foundation. I feel like it makes them see you in a different light because they're like, oh no, like that Nigel guy, yeah, he's not here to play. Like he's here to like max it out, you know. So like it's beautiful that you just like
Absolutely.
took that by like you took it and like ran with it. That's definitely beautiful. So is it like when you were doing like help desk, did you find that you were the only one with that tenacity on your team? Because I know like a common theme is a lot of people get stuck in help desk for like a while, right? You like knew that
Mhm.
you were going to be in and out, but did you see
Yeah.
that? Did any of your teammates have the same ambition, or did you see people kind of staying in the same kind of spot for a longer period?
What I realized was, to answer your question, no, not necessarily. Or if
Mm.
they were, they didn't share it, right? So,
Okay.
like for me, like I said, you mentioned, sharing your plans early and stuff like that. While I agree to some extent when it goes to that, but for me, when it comes to my career, I'm so confident, and I know I'm able to obtain the skill set to get in whatever role I want, that I don't mind sharing it because the work is going
Right.
to speak for itself, right? So I can tell you I'm going to be a CISO in the next 3 years, and you're going to believe it because you're going to see the work that I put in between now and then. My point is, no, people weren't really showing that tenacity or that hunger to get into cybersecurity, but um, shortly after I got promoted, a lot of people reached out to me internally and externally about how I made that jump. Because 8 months is pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
Coming with no prior experience in tech at all, like
Wow.
help desk role into a junior role into a senior role within, a year and a half isn't really normal. But
Mm.
the only difference I want to stress is the effort that I put in during that time. Like I speak about it, many, many times, and I call it monk mode, right? I went monk mode from January of 2021 until about August of just nothing but cybersecurity. It was
Yeah.
cybersecurity, help desk, food, and gym. Like, I'm not exaggerating. There was no like, oh, I'm gonna take a day off and play some video games. Like, no. I had a plan going back to
Mm.
what I said before. I said, I need to change my life, and it needs to happen now. So
Mm.
I had pieces on the board where if this doesn't happen, okay, I can do this. If this doesn't
Right.
happen, I can do that. Any
Right.
roadblocks that was going to come up, I had a plan for it.
Mm.
So I don't know if other people had that hunger or that tenacity to want to make that pivot as well. But the
Mm.
first things first was I had to make sure and show my value in the help desk
Mm.
role. Because
Yes.
what happens is you want your leadership to also speak volumes about you. And it could go
Yes.
one or two ways. They could either try and hold you and pitch you like, no, we can't lose Nigel. He's the best help desk analyst. Or when your time comes up, they want to, help you flourish. It also makes, that
Mm.
supervisor manager looks good when they help you flourish because they're like, okay, Nigel started on my team. I kind of helped mold him into the role, and now he's going off to do better things. So that's why I laid the groundwork early to
Right.
say, hey, this is what I want to do. I showed you, I got my, these are my labs. This is how I'm spending my time. Like I shared it with my manager. One-on-ones, I was not holding it back because when the time came for when the role opened up, it needed to be a no-brainer. Yes, Nigel's going to do great on your team. Take him. You don't even have to interview him, just take him.
Wow. And that's like amazing to hear. Like honestly, like the route you took is verbatim right for me. I'm just it's it's possible, but the likelihood is not high, I would say. But going help desk first is definitely I feel like the lot more smooth way, right? Because if you just try to go straight for cyber, as I said, it's kind of trying to climb a mountain while it's raining. But like help desk is like just gradually walking up the mountain. Like you're pacing yourself, you're taking your time, you're learning, but it's going straight to a cyber. I wouldn't recommend that to people now. Even when people ask me, "Well, how do I get into cyber?" I'm like, start with the help desk first. Like that's what I would recommend as well. So while you were in that monk mode, and I do understand what you're talking about because like I love when I'm in that state because there was a time when I was pretty much doing the same thing. It was only like cyber. I wasn't even paying my like car. I was like literally walking to like just like the Audi and the spouse. Like just walking and just like it was like cyber and that's it.
Right,
I wasn't going no parties, no events, no showcases, none of that. Just like
right.
work, study. So I definitely do understand when you have to get in that like mode. And I was going to ask like what. So while you're in that monk mode, is there any certifications you got or any like courses you took or like what would you think was the biggest thing that kind of upped your game? Like when you were speaking to your manager, what do you think was like the biggest thing that made him think like, oh yeah, Nigel, he's like in a whole different plateau now? Like what was that the biggest shift
Mhm.
while you were in that monk mode?
Yeah, the biggest shift I would say was the mindset shift. I would say the biggest two
Mm.
qualities, strengths that I have is going to be my mindset and it's going to be my communication, right? So how I translated what I was learning to my manager and two, then also being able to answer, like doing mock interviews and taking a lot of technical jargon and being able to communicate it to non-technical people, that's when I knew I was understanding and retaining the information, right? So
Mm,
a lot of people during that time was learning, Linux and Python and security
mm,
fundamentals and all these things. That's what I was doing. But I was
mm,
also practicing, like, am I really understanding this? Am I really retaining it? You
right.
brought up certifications. During that 8 months, I didn't get any certificate. I got a certification a month before I interviewed for the role that I got. It was a Security Plus.
Wow.
And I want
Wow.
to call out, they asked me no questions about the Security Plus in my interview. Security Plus
Mm,
gives you a great foundation of
yeah.
understanding, I say, like, security lingo. So when I
Yeah.
say
The
certain
acronyms.
terms, you're going to know what they mean, or you should know from the Security
Right.
Plus. But it's not going to teach you about how to investigate logs. It's not going to teach you about vulnerability and how do you certain things, right? Remediation
Mm,
projects, how to
right.
communicate to asset owners, stuff like that. So I would say during that time when I was learning, I want to also throw in, I also did a boot camp during that 8 months. But I'm gonna talk about that very briefly. Dur
Okay.
During that time at the boot camp, I didn't learn anything new, right? Everything I was learning during that boot camp was stuff that I already knew, right? OSI model, threats, risk, all those things. But what the boot camp taught me, because mind you, I was learning on my own. No help, just learning and learning about different stuff about security. The boot camp gave me structure. It was able to show me that this is blue team, this is red team, this is purple team, and this is what a day, would look like from a SOC analyst or vulnerability management analyst. Like, it really
Right.
helped me wrap my mind around all of the technical stuff that I was learning. And then I took that and was able to start practicing how to communicate that to non-technical people because I knew that was going to be very important in security. There's a lot of technical people in the field. Like, there's people who's way more technical than me, architects, engineers, but how you communicate that technical findings or risk is going to be very important to leadership and how you progress in security, right? If you're unable to explain your findings to your CISO or your director, they're gonna always have that. They're always gonna bump heads. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
So I
right.
would say in short, mindset, how I thought about things, knowing that I could obtain anything that I wanted, and then two, that I could communicate that to whoever I wanted was the biggest aha moment during my monk mode.
Wow. And that you started off like with it's so beautiful, like because I like the way I worded the question. I thought you were going to speak about like this different framework or this, and so you're like, nah, but it's the mindset, and that's really the crux of like everything. Like we can't all great things like start like up here and then like they materialize into like this realm. But that's like I love that you started with that, and also like it was
Can I?
interesting to say that.
So,
Go on.
Sorry, not to cut your wisdom. I want to build
Hmm?
on that just really quick. The
Of course.
reason why I said those two things is because the technical aptitude is not hard. If I gave you 6 months to learn how to do Python, you would learn how to do Python.
Mm,
If I gave you a year to learn about cyber threat intel, you would learn it. But
mm,
your mindset and how you prioritize and the discipline is what's going to is what's going to allow you to obtain that information. Learning
right.
technical stuff is not hard. Getting certifications is not hard. It's not. It's not hard. The soft skills, the confidence to be able to sit in an interview and be ready for scenario-based questions because you've done hands-on work is hard. Can you communicate how you would do something in a certain scenario? You may understand what it is, but can you communicate it?
Mm,
That's what the interview is to understand, do you have a proof of understanding? Not do you understand what the term is. So that's
right.
why I never get into the weeds of technical stuff because if I wanted to be a technical SME and vulnerability management, I could do that. If I wanted to be anyone can do that. It's the mindset. Are you going to do the work? Do you understand what it's
Right.
going to take? Like
Right.
that, those are the things that's very important that people, need to start talking about because that's what separates you from the rest. Why? Because most people are going to stop once they stop understanding certain technical jargon and try and move to something else. Okay, I want to do SOC analyst. This is too hard. I'm gonna learn vulnerability management. That's too hard. But if you stay here
Mm.
and give yourself and know the mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna give myself 3 months to learn about a SIM, 3 months to learn about an EDR, 3 months, and then you stick with that, there's no loss. You now have the information.
Right.
You took action. So that's why I didn't bring up any frameworks and stuff like that because anyone can learn that. It's
Right.
open source.
Literally. No, that's beautiful. And knowing how to communicate it as well, because that's a skill in itself. And I feel like a lot of those skill sets are sometimes found in different areas of life. Because in the past, like I've done like sales and stuff like that, right? And I didn't think, like at the time, I didn't think it would help me in like tech or like cyber or whatever. But just being in these different rooms and meetings and talking and seeing that not everyone has that. I mean, everyone has the capability, but not everyone like shows up that way, right? So even if they can communicate, they don't always like do it. But if you know how to do it properly, you know all the technical stuff, and you can speak to anybody about it in your company or even outside your company. It makes you even more so like valuable. So like that's a huge thing as well. So how did you go about increasing like your communication skills? Like did you take any, what do they call it, like Toastmasters or any of those type of stuff, or is this like a natural thing that you were born with, or is it something you learned from your family? Like where did you get your communication skills from?
Yeah, I would say definitely a God-given ability. So, and also practice. God-given ability first, right? But secondly, practicing. So when I was learning these different you know, domains in security, I was practicing. I was setting up a camera with a tripod and I was recording myself. How am I disseminating this information? Can I explain this to my younger sister who comes from no technical background? She understands what I said. If she's able to regurgitate something that I said to her about what I explained, I know I've explained it very well, right? She has no technical background. If I talk to her about cyber threats and threat actors and APT groups, and she's able to say and return like say certain stuff back to me, I'm like, okay, she understand, or I explained it well enough. So the biggest thing is practice. Take whatever you're learning, even the certs. Like, maybe we'll get into certs, but like everything that you learn in that cert, can you explain what you learned to someone who has no background in security? The home labs that you're working on, if you spun up a home lab like a SOC, like you set up a SIM with an EDR, security onion, whatever you did, can you explain how you triage an alert from a unusual IP address from start to finish to someone who knows nothing about security? Can you explain that? And if you can't, that means that you won't be able to explain it in an interview. If you can't explain to someone that you don't like, a family member, someone close to you, the more anxiety you're gonna have in the interview is gonna be way more. So you need to
Right.
practice that.
Mm.
I really, life rewards action, not intelligence. Everyone can be smart, but if you're not doing anything with that intelligence, you're gonna get stuck in this analysis paralysis state where you're just looking at, oh, like I can't do that on the job rec. Oh, I can't. Well, I know it, but you're gonna be stuck. But you
Right.
need to start doing it every single day. During that 8 months at monk mode, I was doing it. There's no cap. Like you can see it. I documented it. I have it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like it's very important during like cybersecurity for everyone who thinks it's easy to get in. It's not easy to get in. Whether you have the technical aptitude, the communication, the networking skills, it's still a high responsibility career. We are protecting the brand reputation, data, and operations of companies. If a cyber attack hits, you people gonna know about it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
That's
So
it.
think about that. I always say, would you hire you for a role currently right
Mm.
now with what you know? Are you BSing? Are you like, come on, like, so you got to put the work in. You got to take action. Don't just
Right.
sit on TikTok and YouTube and watch all these videos and not go do anything. Like
Right.
when you're watching, write stuff down and go do it. And then document
Right.
it, add it to your GitHub, your LinkedIn.
Yes.
Look,
Yes.
today I just, You know what I'm saying? I just did a home lab. I'm really excited. It don't matter if you don't get no likes. This is not Instagram. This is not Instagram. Like, don't be shy. Post about what
Or-
you learned. That's very important.
yeah. That's wonderful, especially the part you were saying. If you could explain it to someone who doesn't have a technical background, because I feel like that's huge. Because we could kind of get in, especially on like LinkedIn or whatever, or just even online in general. We kind of get in like echo chambers where it's like you're sharing stuff about the industry, and there's people who are in the industry who are like it, and like commenting, but like they already know what you're talking about. They do the same thing as you. But if you could explain it to someone who's in an entirely different like industry or like lifestyle, right? And make them understand, especially like the youth. If you can explain it to like a child, especially, oh yeah, you're in the clear. If a child could like
Yeah.
understand you, or like a really like young one, you're in like the clear with that. But definitely the documenting stuff is so important. And this is like I'm just now like really starting to really understand the value of it. Because in the past
Mhm.
I've done so much stuff, but I wasn't documenting none of it. I'm just like learning like Linux command this, command that, whatever, cool, right? But now I'm like, oh, like people value this stuff, and I should have been like documenting this stuff from when I started, right? So I definitely recommend the same thing, like regardless of where you're at in the cyber or tech industry, and regardless of how much experience you have, start documenting from like day zero, like day zero. Like get your camera,
Yeah.
get your screen recording, get like your GitHub, like anything you can, just share it. Because as you said, even if you don't get likes, it's also for you. Even if
Right.
no one sees it, right? The fact that you could like comprehend it and share it and teach it is going to go deeper into your synapses as well. Anyway. So that's like a beautiful thing to do. I definitely recommend the same. So, who are some? I was meaning. I think actually. Well, I'm gonna go back to this. So why cyber though? Like you could have been like a data scientist, a blockchain engineer. You could have been a mobile dev, a game dev. Like, what specifically about cyber attracted you over like all of the other spots in the tech industry?
Um, I heard cyber gets paid the most.
I love it. I love it.
I mean, outside of the salary, I would say is there's many different ways you could pivot in cyber.
Yeah,
Remember, most um aspiring professionals who aren't in the field, they say, I want to get in cybersecurity. Well, to them that may seem very niche, but there's a lot of different roles in cybersecurity. There's many
right,
different domains,
right,
right? So I could pivot to GRC and be a, GRC analyst, or I can be a risk compliance analyst, or I can be in TPRM, which is threat party risk management, or I can be a manager, or I can be a director, or I can go to engineering. I could be a threat detection engineer or a cloud security engineer, or I could go to architecture and be a principal cloud architecture, or I can go to SOC and be a threat hunter or a SOC analyst, or there's many different avenues.
right,
So to answer your question, that's why I got into cyber, because once I started to learn and look into it, I saw all of the different avenues where, you could pivot or specialize in, right? And the more you're able, and for me also, the job security, right? Companies' data is always going to be needed to be protected. So that was another thing. Now, I'm not saying layoffs are, we're immune to layoffs, but I will say companies still have to have a cyber program, right?
yeah,
So if your skill
definitely,
set is high enough and you are able to communicate that,
mm,
then you will always be of value.
yeah. 1,000%. No, 1,000%. And is there any? All right. So from your monk mode to like now, right? Is there any what they call it misconceptions or like stereotypes about cyber that you thought beforehand that once you actually got into the industry you realized, oh, like this was all cap? Like this is like, is there
Oh,
anything like that?
yes. Yes. Okay. First things first is that certifications are going to get you a job. Okay. That's one. Certifications and our premises, like certifications can get you a job. Certifications alone will not get you a job.
Mm,
Certifications is your way through the ATS system, through
yeah,
to get you through to the hiring manager. If you have certs that align and make sense for the roles that you want, that's another thing that's important. You need to have certs that make sense to the role that you're going into.
Right.
Like if I want to be a SOC analyst and I have, networking engineer certification, like I don't need that to be a SOC analyst.
Right.
So certifications leading to a job, I think you should stack your hands-on skills, which you do hands-on. And what I mean by that is even the walkthrough labs that you can do through TryHackMe, learn about different modules and different things from a SOC analyst, and then stack it with maybe a Security Plus or a CYSA or a Blue Team Level 1 or AWS Cloud Practitioner or Azure AZ900, whatever the certs are, make sure it makes sense to where you're at and where you're trying to go. So before I got in, I was like, oh, I need to get, the Security Plus. Every video I saw on YouTube said get Security Plus. And then as I was learning, right, I was learning and watching my YouTube University free tuition. I was like, I'm learning this stuff, and then I'm looking at the Security Plus syllabus and domain. I'm like, I already know all this. Like, do I really want to spend $300 to like get a certification to tell everyone, look, guys, I have a Security Plus like everyone else in the field. Like, so, you know, certifications are a validation piece, and it's more validating for you.
Right.
The hiring manager in the company don't really care what certs you have. They care, can you come in and do the job?
Literally.
Can you explain if I give you a scenario about an alert firing off or unusual activity, do you know what to do?
Mm,
Not do you know what the definition of a DNS is?
mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that was the biggest misconception, and I had to get a whole bunch of certs. Within like month 3 of me learning during monk mode, I didn't care nothing about certs at
Mm,
all. And I think that really helped me with my time management because people spend a lot of time trying to get a cert. But if you learn the hands-on skills for the job functions, right? Here, I'm gonna give everyone some cheat codes really quick. If you want to become more marketable and get better hands-on skills, go on LinkedIn or Indeed, take like 5 job recs, copy and paste them into whatever chat GPT that you use, Gemini, Cloud, whatever, and have chat GPT spill out a roadmap plan on how you can learn these skills. Because you know why? These are what the job recs are asking for. So take that, go learn those skills, make sure you can explain it to someone else, and guess what now? Instead of looking at the bottom half of the job rec where it asks for the degrees and the certs and all that, you can do everything above that. So you're telling me a hiring manager is not going to hire you because you don't have 5 years experience, but you can do every single thing that the job is asking for?
mm,
I really, or would you even want to work for a company like that?
mm.
If they give you every scenario and you answer it completely right and you explain it very well, but they say you don't have 5 years of experience, if you can do the job, why would I hire you?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So instead of looking at the bottom half of the job recs where it's asking, do you have a bachelor's degree? Do you have the CISSP, the SISM, the all these certs? Focus on the top half. Can you do the top half? Because the
Right.
bottom half is just a validation piece that lets
Mm,
the hiring manager know, like, okay, he understands the concepts, but the top half is, can you do the job function?
right.
The bottom half doesn't tell you that. The search doesn't tell you. The degree doesn't tell you. Can you go? If I stuck you in a sock right now and just gave you all the logs and everything and the alerts, can you do it? Certs aren't going to tell you that.
Right.
So, to answer your question, that was one of the biggest misconceptions was the certs. Um, the second misconception was that cybersecurity was entry level. Everyone thinks there's like a like most companies have a structure of, entry level, junior, and cyber has that. But maybe compared to most companies, the field of cyber, that entry level, junior level spot is super competitive. Like, I know senior people who may not have jobs right now who would take a junior role. And think about that. So the competition is very high. And I think going back to the mindset piece I said earlier, I wouldn't even want to set my mind to say I want an entry level role. I want a role that fits my skill set, right? If I take that time and I know everything a senior person knows, why would I take an entry level role? You're
Right.
already pigeonholing yourself with the mindset. Just learn the skills and then apply for the roles that line up with your skills. You know what I'm saying? So that was another thing. Cybersecurity is an entry level position. If you're gonna go into cybersecurity looking for entry level positions, good luck. That's all I'm gonna say. Good luck. If you learn the skills, become marketable, network, layer certification on top of that, then you can apply for any role. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? You don't have to pigeonhole yourself to just entry level. Like don't do that. Like have a good mindset. Say that I want to get into the field. I want to become a cybersecurity analyst. The roles I'm looking for are roles that align with my skills. I have skills lined up for a SOC analyst, for threat hunter, for vulnerability management. Those are the roles I'm looking for. And then go look for them. Not entry
Right.
level or whatever. Like, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like I never looked like I never had an entry level cyber role. My first role
Right.
was a level two
Mm. Yeah.
because I didn't
No,
look for an entry level role.
of course, of course. You just got to get the best that you could get. But like I was laughing because like literally everything you said, I feel in my soul. Because like I had to learn like the hard way as well. Even with like the CompTIA, Sec Plus, and the Tech Plus and all that stuff. The way that certain people market this stuff, it's like, oh, you get this, bro. This is your ticket. Like you get this, you're in sick. Like you're on cloud now. But then you get it. It's almost like you know when like a new like phone comes out and you get it and like a week later, like, oh well, whatever, right? I feel like that's
Yeah.
kind of how it's like some certifications was because you get it, you feel nice, all your friends are like, oh, congrats, congrats. But then it's like if you didn't land a role that actually changed your life to change your income, it's like, well, it kind of puts you in a weird state. It's like, oh, I thought this was the thing that you said would get me this, but it doesn't always, right? And that's
Yeah.
something I had to learn like the hard way. And also, the entry level cyber is almost it's like an oxymoron, honestly. Like it's an oxymoron. And I realized that the longer I speak to more people in like the industry and just soak myself into space, it's really like an oxymoron because it usually goes IT then cyber, usually, right? But that's not how it's marketed, right? It's not how like these people on like YouTube and LinkedIn with these
Yeah.
courses and boot camps. It's not how it's marketed. And it's sad because I've been in a lot of different cohorts and boot camps because I was like, oh yeah, this is the way out, this is the way up, you know. And I went through these things. I've seen a lot of people in my like cohorts, right? They just like either leave, they give up, they become kind of disillusioned. They just kind of just like, bro, like y'all told me I spent all this money. Y'all told me I was gonna get this. I didn't get this, and it's like it's a bit agitating. But I think my thing I have to do better at is better at branding and marketing myself, right? Because I know what I know, right? But if you
Mm.
can't show it to like the hiring managers, if you can't show it to the manager, if you can't show it to your client or the company or whatever, or your customer, whatever, right? If you can't show the value and the stuff you know, then it's like they don't care. Like, what are you talking about? Like, so I have to do better at like documenting, as you said, and marketing and branding, and that's what something that I'm going to do better at because I haven't done the best of that in the past. But no, everything you said, I agree with it like verbatim because I feel that in like my soul, and I had
Yeah.
to learn it. I'm learning it the hard way. So yeah, you're spot
Yeah.
on with like all of that.
Can I and I feel you on, people going to the boot camps and the courses. I'll say this. You didn't ask, but I'll tell you.
Mm,
If I was to get into cybersecurity, if I was to all do it all over again, this is what I would do. The first thing first, and these are all of the rabbit holes and roadblocks that I had early when I was trying to get in, but this is gonna help hopefully hundreds and millions of people not have to go through all these other avenues. And if you so, make sure you have a mentor, someone who guides you or advises you to go outside of this roadmap I'm telling you. The first things first is you need to know what role in cybersecurity you want to do. That's going to take research. So, most people who aren't in the field, when they talk to people in the field, the first thing a person like me or who's in the field is going to ask you is, what do you want to do? And if you can't answer that clearly, 9 times out of 10, we're going to then know you've done no research. If you can't tell, seriously, it's not even like a trick
yeah, I know, I
question.
know. Yeah,
If I
yeah,
ask you, what do you want to do in cybersecurity? And you say, I want to be in cybersecurity. Like, I want to be a cybersecurity analyst.
right,
What? Like, what kind of cybersecurity analyst? So that's the first thing. Know what role you want to do. Go do research on the different roles. Intelligence, vulnerability management, SOC analyst, GRC, engineering, etc. Go know what you want to do. So when you ask someone in the field, they don't just immediately turn you off, right? Or they're just gonna keep asking you, like, what do you want to do? I can't tell you what you want to do. I'm not you.
right, right,
So know what you want to do. The second thing is you need to learn basic technical foundation. And what I mean by that, you don't need to get the CompTIA A plus or get a cert. You can either do that, supplement that piece with help desk role, or just learning basic technical foundation of like how computers work and how they talk to each other. So learn about Linux, learn about Windows, learn about the difference between authentication versus authorization. Learn about, just basic networking, different ports, protocols, just basic technical foundation. Third, after you learn that, learn a cloud platform, whether it's AWS or Azure or GCP. Learn the basic of how they work, learn the terminology for each platform or whatever platform you pick. Pick one, and that's what you need to know. So pick a role, learn technical foundations, learn a cloud platform. Fourth, you need to then do labs, do hands-on labs for whatever the role you picked, or two roles. So you can maybe pick 1 to 2 roles that interest you, and then start doing labs that line up with that role. What would a day in a life look like for that role? And start building labs. And don't just build the lab, write a report, and then throw it away. Keep adding on to the lab. What else can you do? Can you keep it current with different threats that you're seeing across the industry? How can you like mimic it or write about it or whatever you can do? But you need to start doing labs. So first, we picked a role, we're learning a technical foundation, we're learning a cloud platform, then we're doing labs. Five, then we are getting certs that make sense or stack for the labs and roles that we're interested in. So if I want to be a cloud engineer, I'm getting cloud certs, AWS. I may get like a security plus to say I have a foundation of security. Then I might get the AWS cloud solutions architect, right? So I may stack certs that make sense for the role. If I want to be a SOC analyst, I may get the Security Plus, or maybe I'll just get the CYSA. CYSA is more scenario based, right? It's giving you a little bit more. It's tailored more for like an analyst type of role in security.
right,
Or if I want to do, Blue Team Level 1. That whole cert is hands-on, right? There's a lot of good information in that cert. So that's five. Six, I'm networking. And we haven't touched on networking, but networking is the that is how I got my role. Networking
mm,
is the most important piece because it's not always what you know, it may be who you know. And who you know may see what you're doing and say, I want to take a chance on this person. So
yeah,
you never know who's watching, but
that's
you
right,
can start networking from the beginning piece. And then the last piece is making sure you have timelines. Set yourself up for success. At the end of the day, even if you pivot or you're like, oh, this is too hard, at least you've learned the information. Don't quit.
right,
So
right,
I'm going to pick a role within the first 3 days. I'm going to learn technical foundations within 2 weeks. I'm going to pick a cloud platform and learn that in 2 months. I'm going to learn and do labs for, next 3 months. I'm going to get a cert, the Security Plus within a month and a half. And then I'm going to build up my LinkedIn before then, and I'm going to start adding all the stuff I've done. And I'm going to have a rotating cadence where I'm posting, I'm commenting on people's stuff, I'm liking, I'm reaching out to recruiters and stuff like that. I'm going to meetups. That is how you should do it. That should be your roadmap in 2026. Pick a role, learn the foundations of how computers talk, learn a cloud platform, do home labs, get some certs that make sense, network with other professionals in the field, and have timelines to set yourself up for success.
wow. That was like the clearest thing I've heard like all year. All year, that's the clearest like roadmap I heard like all year, and I agree with like all of that. The networking part, I want to give a bit of light to Nate. tell me how you met, like, because
Yeah,
I met like you through Nate. So speaking about like net like working, that's how we like even met. So tell me about like
exactly.
Nate and how was your time on his like live and how you two connected.
Yeah, I met Nate through TikTok. I like to support a lot of content creators in the cyberspace who I feel are doing good work, right? And not saying people are doing bad, but like people who are actually trying to help others get into
Right,
the field. So
right,
there's people like Henry Davis from Textual Chatter, shout out to him. There's Kenneth Ellington from Ellington Cyber Academy. He does
right.
great work. And then I met Nate from TikTok Live, and he curated a very special type of platform on TikTok where he sets up panels where people who are emerging, who are trying to get into cyber, and then another side is people who are experienced, who are already in the field, come
Mm,
together and there's topics, whether it's having trouble to break into CTI or people who are interested in SOC analysts. So he'll bring like a SOC analyst on, and then people who are emerging get to come up and ask questions to to that person directly or the
mm,
panel directly. So think of it, you have a panel of experienced people who are in the field, and all of the questions that you're sitting at home just thinking about, you can go join Nate's live and ask people in the field directly, which is such a beautiful thing. Like it's so genuine. People are really sharing a lot of game. A lot of game. I like if I had something like that when I was learning, I would have gotten the field in 3 months. Easy.
wow, wow.
Easy. So yeah, that's how I met Nate. I joined, I saw what he was doing. Like I went into one of the panels. I was like listening and I was like, dang, are people just coming in here and just talking? Like I was like, oh, that's really dope. So I kept
Yeah.
going, and then what I'm saying, we just, we built a great relationship, and that's how I met Nate. He reached out to me also, and he was like, yeah, man, you got to do something with the Blacks in cybersecurity, man. Like I think people really, enjoy your story. And so I was like, set it up, man. Like, I have no problem sharing knowledge, man. I'm no
Right,
gatekeeping, and,
right,
and
right,
then there's no gatekeeping. All the information is out there. So
right,
that's another
right.
mindset thing. There's no roadblocks. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? You just have to do it and figure out ways to anything that does come up to maneuver out that. So that's how
exactly.
I met Nate.
Yeah, and his name is Nate Butler, right? On LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, Nate like Butler. So you guys can find him on LinkedIn and then on TikTok. Do you know his TikTok, the full name of his TikTok as well?
I think it's
Or
like Nate Butler explains.
okay, yeah, because I want just people to just go like over there and give him some love as well, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I was on the
Yeah,
live like a
Nate Butler explains on TikTok.
sweet, 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 sweet. Yeah, but I was on there too because he had me as a guest and like it was cool because I don't even use like TikTok. I'm not even like a TikTok. Like I don't even use TikTok, and I was on it and it was so cool. I'm like so it was like live when people like commenting, but then live in terms of people like asking questions and then sharing their insight. I'm like, this is like, and we were talking about really like serious stuff, like we used to like really serious stuff on there. So, but definitely shout out to Nate, and it's cool because it's like each one teach one. Like the more we share this and the more we highlight this, the more of our people could get in like this industry. So it's like a beautiful thing just to
Yeah.
kind of share and just kind of share the wisdom and the light. And I also wanted to ask you, so have you? I know you were in your like monk mode, right? But have you gone to any of the big like conferences like Black Hat or like Afrotech or DEF CON or any B-sides? Like, have you gone to any of those yet, or are you still kind of just like to you're like yourself?
Yeah, no, I've probably been to all of the major tech
Okay.
conferences. I just presented at Sands
Oh, sweet.
last month.
Oh,
Yeah. That
yeah,
was
that's
a
lit.
really, yeah, I'm rocking the gear. But yeah,
Uh, that's so
that
cool.
was a full circle moment. But yeah, I've been to quite a few Sands conferences. I've been to, AWS. I've been to ISAC's conferences. I've
Mm,
presented at B-Sides as well. I haven't been. I'm, hopefully going to DEF CON this year. And then yeah, I've been to a lot of conferences, man. A lot. I've been to hacking conferences as well.
mm,
So yeah, a lot.
yeah. What is your kind of before someone goes to a conference, right? What do you think
Mhm.
is like a way that they could prep to get the most value out of it? Because a lot of people go to like conferences, but they probably won't get the same value as someone else, right? But for someone new who wants to get as much value from it as possible, what's kind of like a mentality or like a checklist or like kind of a way that they could get the most out of it?
Yeah, 100%. Great question. Great question. So before you go to a conference, you need to have a plan, right? Shocker, I know. You have to have a plan. And my plan usually is this. I'm going to go do some open source research. So when a conference posts about when it is and stuff like that, people will like it and comment on it, and you'll see who might be going to it. So I'll have a list of maybe managers and CISOs who I see who are liking and stuff like that. And I'm going to make sure that I have some information that I could
Wow.
bring up during a conversation. So I
Wow.
also have a goal when I go to conferences. I want to network and get at least 20 to 25 new LinkedIns. I'm gonna say, hey, we have a conversation. Hey, let me grab your LinkedIn so we can chat outside of this. Whatever how I start the conversation, but I'm leaving there with at least 25 new connections. And usually for me now, it's usually managers, directors, higher level, people in C-suite, because I just want to understand the landscape. What are the demands? How is it shifting? Stuff like that. So you should go to conferences with the intention of doing research, knowing your elevator pitch, right? That's very important. Everyone who wants to be in cyber, know your elevator pitch. That's like one of the first things you should do before you're learning about the command line and all that. Can you market yourself? If you finally meet a hiring manager, do you know what to say? Are you going to be able to present your skill set and what you can bring to that company? Because what if
Mhm.
they say you bump into them at the coffee machine, and hey, Keegan, like, are you interested in cyber? What is your skill set? Will you be able to come up with your elevator pitch right then and there?
Right. Right.
So I always have my elevator pitch and I tailor it based on, if I know they're a manager, a director, or a CISO, stuff like that. But so I'll have I'll do my research, I'll have my number of how many connections I want to make, and then I really understand the importance of the sessions are great. But the minute the session's over, that gathering time in the hallway, that is why you should go to the conference. That is the networking piece. That's the most important piece. The talks, I'm not trying to knock anyone's talks. They're great. But as soon as they're like, all right, we're done, as soon as everyone starts to disperse, I'm like looking like, all right, who do I need to meet? For real. And
Yeah.
that's how you do it. That's
Yeah.
that's how you should go into the conferences. Don't just go and sit and look, take in all the talks. You got all this information, then you're like, oh, I'm just gonna reach out to them on LinkedIn. No, you've already went to the conference.
Right.
Talk to them in person, shake their hand, introduce yourself, let them feel your energy. Remember, hiring managers always, not always, they usually hire for a fit, not always that you're technically sound. Will you be a good fit for the team? So if you
Right.
go and meet them in person and you show your energy, your high beat energy, the way you can communicate, you're smiling, you're not like uptight and like, like a robot, like you just chill having a normal conversation, they may be like, you know what? He's a cool guy, you know. Matter of fact, follow me on LinkedIn, shoot me a message, and we'll talk more. And then you do that. And if they don't respond the first time, you do it again. And then if you third time, go comment on something that they post, get their attention, and then go back and send them a DM. Like until they block you, like I don't like what are we doing? This is not Instagram. This is not Facebook. Don't get hurt because you're getting left on red. It's not personal. They
Right.
don't know
Right.
you,
Yeah.
right? People are busy. People, especially people in cyber, we're busy.
Right.
It's a high responsibility job. We're not then trying to be like, oh, let me check my DMs on LinkedIn. Like, no, we're not doing that unless we're getting paid, coaching and doing stuff like that.
Right.
But if people are just doing it outside of, the kindness of their heart, give them time and follow up. I tell my mentees all the time, you need to apply pressure to me. I'm not going to apply pressure to you unless I see that you are able and wanting to do the work. You know what I'm saying? Like if I give you some information and you come back to me in 4 months and you ask me something that I've already told you, then I know that I just need to give you the bare minimum and see if you're gonna do that.
Mhm.
Right? Like I'm
Right.
not gonna waste my energy. You're not gonna waste my time. That I won't allow that. So if you apply pressure to me and you follow up and you nagging me and I keep seeing your name pop up, then of course I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna give you the information free of charge. So like you just need to make sure you're applying that pressure and don't take it personally. They don't know you. You just need to make yourself marketable and use different methods to grab people's attention if you're seeking guidance, right? So that's what I'm doing at the conferences. I'm doing my research, I'm figuring out who's there, who's a Lakers fan, who's a Cowboys fan. I'm going on their profiles, I'm looking. If I recognize them, I'm gonna be like, "Oh man, King, you look like a Cowboys fan. I think are you a Cowboys fan? Yeah, how'd you know, man?" I was like, "Matter of fact, man, I see a Cowboys fan. I know Cowboys fans
Yeah.
when I see him. And now look, laughing, we're already got
Yeah.
that. Then I might throw something in. I know your role. Oh, so you're a manager at Microsoft. Look, I'm not gonna lie. AWS is cool, but I really rock with Microsoft products. Oh, really? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then now I'm like building the rapport.
Right,
You know
right.
what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
we'll take it a little bit more serious. Hey, matter of fact, and this is what I've done. I've actually been in cybersecurity for about 4 years. I'm looking to ways to transition and upskill. I see that you've been in the field for a long time. I would love to pick your brain and understand how the landscape is differing, or if any maybe opportunities within your threat intel team may come up. I have an extensive knowledge of building out programs from start to finish. I've worked with many different platforms and blah 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 blah. Right? And then he gonna be like, "Oh man, who is this guy? He's a Cowboys fan. He likes Microsoft, and he's qualified." So that is how deep you of work you need to do. And then
Right.
remember, most people aren't doing that. So you're now separating yourself from the competition. This is
Right.
competition at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
how much work are you willing to put in? That was the kind of work I was putting in during that monk mode.
Wow. The roadmaps you are giving people, brother. Like I'm not sure if you like written this stuff down, but you have to write this stuff down, brother. Because like you're the roadmaps you're giving people are like 10 out of 10 amazing. I could tell you could tell someone is a cyber person just by even the way they think. Because you're so tactical, doing like reconnaissance, going to their LinkedIn, looking at this, looking at that, and like you have a clear plan. So you could just tell that you're deep in cyber by the way you even go to conferences. It's almost like you're doing like a penetration test on like a conference, you know? It's like you're trying to get everything and just like go as deep as you can. But that's a wonderful play. And even like we're saying like find something that they like and then gradually reel them in and then gradually bring them into the cyber threat until like after that, that's a genius play, brother. That's a genius play. And it definitely makes me more more excited to go to conferences myself because I haven't really gone to any big ones yet. And I feel like that's definitely going to like change the whole um trajectory of like everything. But no, that's definitely like a beautiful play. And I wanted to ask you about WGU, like Western Governors University, right? So we were speaking about certifications before, right? So in terms of college, right, how pertinent or how important do you think that is in terms of the cyber industry like now in like 2026?
Um, I feel like college is a luxury item.
Mm,
Unless you have the means and the resources to invest in something like that. And if you do, that's very good. But I think early in your cybersecurity journey, it's not necessary. You may see a lot of job recs that ask for it or may say required, but it's a good avenue to go down. But I always say if you learn the skills and then you are able to get your foot in the door, then
yeah.
take advantage of the company's tuition reimbursement and get the degree that way.
Yes.
But if you have the resources and the the needs to get that, go the WG route, then yes, I say go for it. Like, but also apply everything that I told you beforehand. Because what WGU and colleges are going to do is give you a lot of theory. It goes back to the certification. It's going to give you the terminology and the why, but it's not going to tell you the how and what to
How,
do.
right?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, you especially if you go the WG route, you're gonna leave there with like what 9 to 11 certifications. So with your bachelor's degree, so yeah, you'll definitely be marketable and pass through a lot of the ATS system for hiring man, like the recruiting. Like you
Mm,
have the WGU and all of the certs that come with it. Like yeah, you're gonna go pass and probably get the interviews. But now going back to what I said earlier, Once you get past that, you sit down the interview and they ask you a scenario-based question like, what would you do if you see this IP address coming from a geolocation, blah, 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 blah. Is WGU giving you information, hands-on experience about doing that? I don't know. I don't I never been to college. I took like two courses at WGU and I was like, yeah, I'm not. Let me go back to learning some hands-on still. Let me learn how to
Right.
become SME in Python and stuff. Let me start doing some other stuff because like this ain't it. This ain't
Yeah.
it for me. But yeah, so I don't knock college or anyone who wants to go that route. I think it's a very expensive route to go
Mhm.
early in your cyber career, but you may see the reward on the back end, right?
Right. Right.
Um, so depending on that, because certain companies, the higher you go, or certain roles, right?
Yeah.
Like now, if you want to go into leadership and stuff like that, they may say, "Hey, do you have your bachelor's or your master's or stuff like that?" And that might make you a little bit more marketable. But for me, I'm going to continue to just become more proficient in the domains and the skills that I think are going to last between now and the next five, not last, but are going to be high marketable between the next 1 and 5 years.
Right.
And then during that time, I'm gonna do some classes and in between. So
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It's like a luxury, and if you can do it, do it. But like early on, it could be a bit of a tight squeeze. But like I agree with what
mhm.
you're saying because I mainly see it for like managerial roles, leadership roles, and government. Like that's the thing. Like the government side of things, I think. Well, I know like they care a lot more about it, and I wanted to ask you a bit about that because I was looking at a couple like Linux system admin roles a couple like what a day or two ago, right? And verbatim, like literally every single role I was looking on the site was like security clearance, polygraph, TCI, like security clearance. I'm like, damn, like every single Linux admin, y'all need clearances. Like, is it that deep? But what do you think about the whole government and the clearance side thing? Because I'm seeing that they have a huge stake in the entire like cyber industry in general. So what do you think about that side of things?
So I'm not super familiar with the GovTech side. I have a lot of colleagues on the GovTech side. When I go to the DMV conferences out there, I meet
Yeah,
a lot of the professionals on that side. I do know clearances are king on that side, right?
mm,
If you get a clearance, you're highly marketable if you're trying to get a GovTech role. Now, with that being said, just like the Security Plus, now that having a clearance is, the golden standard, they're probably going to keep raising which type of
yeah,
clearance you
exactly.
have in order to get the role. So that goes back into like, you just have to make sure that you have the skill set. The GovTech is a little bit more stricter though. So like if they're
Yeah,
asking for like a polygraph, like you gotta have that or you're not gonna get the
yeah,
role. So, yeah, I would just say, see if you can get sponsors to help you get the clearance that are needed or in high demand for that side. But yeah, the GovTech side is a little different. Like some of the
mm,
requirements, things like that, you're going to need those things. And for me, goes back to the research part. What are you seeing a lot of? Are you seeing
right,
the polygraph a lot, or are you seeing just a top secret or secret or whatever it is? Figure out what it is that you're seeing the most of, and then go try and get that one.
exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah, because it goes like the same thing you were saying earlier. Like, look at the role you want, look at the recs, look at what it requires, and then like kind of reverse engineer that so you know what
Yep.
path to go. So I definitely think that's definitely the smartest way to go. But we have about a minute left. But I wanted to give you time to share any projects you have coming up, any conferences you're going to be at, any links, any GitHubs, any articles. Like, just share everything with the people so they can stay in touch with you.
Yeah, so I teach a cyber threat intel class on Ellington Cyber Academy or their Ellington Cyber Range. We'll probably link it in the description, but I teach a class on Wednesdays about, basically what the day in the life of a cyber threat intel analyst looks like, more so the mindset piece of cyber threat intel. A lot of people think that we're like super hands on keyboard and doing a lot of different things, but it's basically a lot of disseminating intel to different stakeholders and how we collect and analyze it. And then outside of that, really, I'm working on, I have a coaching program that I do as well. You can find that on School as well. It's called Intel Wave. School, the platform, SKOOL. And it's called Intel Wave, basically where I make intelligence the wave. I make it cool. You know what I'm saying? Like it's okay to be, super smart in cyber or
Right.
intelligence or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. You can still do that and be fly, So
Right. Yeah.
so I do coaching. For that, basically, you kind of get more access to me because I get tons and tons of DMs of, people. So I prioritize people who are in my school program. And then yeah, that's about it. I got a podcast coming out on tech
Sweet.
with Tech Woke. This one will be coming out. I got another one coming out next month. I got a few podcasts coming on. I've been busy,
Solid.
so
Yeah.
yeah. But I appreciate you having me on, man. I really do.
Yeah, man. I like appreciate you for you coming on because like the amount of just the amount of wisdom you shared, plus you got you're funny with it, and plus you got the charisma with it. You're like a quadruple threat, bro. So I see why you're at where you're at. So I'm definitely happy that you got to share that with everyone. And yeah, thank you for coming on, and thank you everyone for watching.